we can say definitively that religions are all bullshit.
Welcome to Brainstorm.
We have the explicit tag for a reason.
This is a base level argument to a higher level morality.
I get paid to science?
To science as much as one can science.
What the hell was my point?
Trigger warning. The Brainstorm podcast will criticize your most cherished beliefs. We attack nonsense in all its forms and discuss difficult subjects. If you peddle pseudoscience, supernatural woo, or religious dogma, then this is not your safe place. This is the home of hardcore skepticism.
Okay, and we're here. Hi, and welcome to the Brainstorm Podcast. This is episode 48, and today is June 24th, 2016. I'm Corey, and my panel tonight are Destin.
Hey, how's it going?
Renee.
Hello.
Angela.
Hello.
And Leo.
Hey there.
With the always amazing Dave doing sound.
Amazing.
Yes. We're here in Roman Empire Studios in Regina, Saskatchewan. Tonight's show is brought to you by Reasonist Inc., atheist, skeptic, and science-based apparel. You can find them at reasonistinc.com. That ended abruptly.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody.
It almost escalated quickly.
No, except the opposite.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for the summer, we're going to be splitting our episodes in half and putting out half an episode each week.
Because we're cheap.
Instead of 2.5 every week, or every 2 weeks. Or 2.5 hours every 2 weeks, it'll be an hour and a half, and then an hour every week.
Mm-hmm.
So some people, if they only listen to one episode with David Smalley, are going to get the first song, and then the rest of the people who listen to the second half are going to get the second song.
The second half is smaller, but we're calling it a half.
Yes. Yes.
Size doesn't matter.
Yeah. Size doesn't.
It's a half.
Doesn't? Yes, does. It's how you use it. Come on.
Yeah, that's right. So I guess we intended to just chat about this fucking this tragedy in Orlando, and I think it was it 2 weeks ago? Was it right the day after
Was
our
it day after? Of course, everything always happens the day of or day after.
Day after we recorded or we broadcast last, and 50 people were killed in the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida, by gunman Omar Mateen. Is that right?
I think that's how you pronounce it.
And he has declared himself, or had declared himself, loyal to ISIS. And he, apparently got an AR-15 with multiple 30-round clips into a nightclub,
And a handgun.
And a handgun into a club, even though they had armed security.
Well, I don't know if the bouncers were armed. That I never.
I read that they were armed somewhere, but
I also read that they were armed. But the thing that most bothers me about situations like these, well, obviously people dying, that's what bothers me most, but the way it's handled afterwards, it seems that everybody just sticks their fingers in their ears and says la 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 and screams out their opinions. And people are not willing to analyze things and actually look in a sort of critical way of why do things like this happen, what actually happened. And it just, as soon as it happens, it just escalates to its climax in everybody just starts shouting. And that is really unproductive.
Well, I think part of it is one is the phone call. Like the FBI is coming out and saying he was under investigation, but they can't prove any. He was looking into it, but they can't find any direct link with him with ISIS. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of a.
The FBI investigates hundreds of thousands of people.
And like that's just it. Is he makes this phone call saying, go ISIS or whatever the exact phone call was. And everyone jumps all over that. And I think it was, that wasn't the core reason. I mean, there's other things have come out that this guy he was himself possibly gay.
Right.
There's, and possibly repressed, like gay,
which we discussed with David a little bit. He mentioned the culture of LGBT hate that happens to permeate America at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, he probably got it from both ends, because not only like the American growing up in America, but he was second generation Afghani, so he probably got it from that end too. Mm-hmm. And when you repress and repress and repress, there's a point where it goes sideways.
Here's the thing about that: it doesn't matter.
Well, I'm not saying it.
None of that matters. The matter is that he was able to get an AR-50 and a handgun and go shoot 50 people.
Well, the thing is, what happened.
I would disagree, and that's exactly what everybody.
No.
Wait, Gumby. It does matter. Everything matters. See, the things everybody just wants to focus on. Gun control would solve everything, and then the other side says, banning Muslims would solve everything. So there is not one everything that matters.
That's what I mean.
Everything matters.
That's exactly what I was trying to get to. The fact that he was potentially gay, that he had trouble growing up, that he was radicalized by Islam, by ISIS.
Is that a fact, though? There's speculation.
Potentially, whatever. That's all those things independently don't matter because there are 350 million people in America. Each one of them has their own story, right? You can't predict and acclimatize for every single thing that could happen in everybody that might stop the gun issue. You have people that go insane because their mother mistreated them, so they go and kill a bunch of kids in a school. You have people that fall off their meds and start shooting people. There's people that think that a dog told them to kill a bunch of people. There's people that did it just because fuck it.
But all those things matter.
Though all those things are mental health, though. That's
not all of them are mental health.
But
yes,
some of
if
them
you
are.
go off
Some
your
of
meds,
them are.
If your
Yes,
mother
yes.
mistreats you, that fucks you up. And I mean, those are
People
all
that just say fuck it. People that do it just for the kicks, or are people that go out and shoot people.
That's a mental health issue.
Yeah.
No,
if you're not of sound mind,
and even if
you
can be of sound mind.
The
and
voice
decide to
of
just
reason
go
in your
kill
head is like, don't fucking do that. That's ridiculous.
You cannot be
Okay,
of sound
so-
mind and kill people.
Why?
No, you cannot
I
be
can
of
be
sound
completely
mind and just
logical.
go shoot a bunch of
Right.
people.
Okay.
No, if
You
you're
cannot.
How are you going
be
to find that
of
person?
sound mind.
How are you going to find that this person is of
But-
unsound
No.
mind? There's no way of telling.
But that's not what it's about. It's not about that. Oh, this single thing will help us find everybody.
Yeah.
But all the components matter. So that's exactly what I'm getting. Everybody just likes to scream, "I hate guns." That's why.
I don't hate guns.
And then
I
and then
hate guns also.
And then brushing
I hate
everything
guns.
else off. That all the other things don't matter. It all and that's exactly the problem. That's why discussions don't lead to a broader, more permanent solution.
It's a systemic issue on all levels.
Exactly.
The only conclusion you can come to with mental health is either you have to screen every single person. This is assuming we're looking for a solution, right?
Well,
that's the first thing we have to come to. Are we looking for a solution?
You don't have to screen every single person. What you have to do is help educate the society that we live in so that there's not a stigma when somebody feels different and that they can go get the help that is necessary.
Sure, but as soon as some people just snap, right? And at that point, when you snap, it's not always it's not always societal.
Almost always leading indicators.
Almost always, we'll still create potentially thousands of shooters.
But
the thing is, the way you treat it, you think that there's one solution. Again,
I never said that. When did I say that?
No, you said we have to screen everybody.
No. If we're focusing on it just being a mental problem,
no, we're not
health,
just focusing on that. I said everything matters.
Right.
I think on the mental health issue
is exactly the problem because everyone just
butts heads. Yes,
amps up and amps up and amps up
and
amps up.
That's exactly what I'm trying to get to. And everybody jumped on me as soon as I said that doesn't matter, Because what
Because your
matters...
tone sucked.
What matters? This is how I started. This right here, if you go back and listen to it, this is how I started.
But
When I
saying
said
this
it-
that doesn't matter is
Right.
wrong.
That's wrong.
Except nobody let me finish my statement.
Let's hear it. Let's finish it.
So,
Okay, let's rewind.
all of the things leading up to him becoming a shooter don't matter. What matters is he became a shooter. Right? And see, you're just about to do it too.
No. Just a
See,
second.
see, here we go. This is the problem. You never let nobody lets anybody finish.
Let him finish.
Let him finish.
The thing is, you're going to say, well, the problem is this and this and this about this guy. That's all we're ever going to be able to do about about these situations, because every single situation is going to be unique. They always have been.
But there are obviously common. I don't know.
Well, how long do you want us to let you
that's
go
a correct statement
before we
to make.
jump on the fallacy that you're committing?
Yeah.
Like, because you keep drawing this line where
The
we
answer,
could just never fix this,
that's it.
So
You cannot
but
fix
you
it.
can.
No.
Yes, you absolutely can.
As long as you have a large
You can-
population where you allow guns, people are going to shoot people.
you can minimize
That's
it.
part
though.
of it.
You could.
That is part of it.
Yes, you can minimize
Yes,
it.
that's exactly the point.
And with
And that's what we're
350
trying to do
million
here.
people, you're still going to have people walking into theaters and shooting.
But if you
30 people.
minimize it with common sense gun regulation,
Sure.
and you
I agree
also
with that.
minimize
Background
it
checks.
with decent education about mental health,
Sure.
and you also minimize it with
Yeah, that's the point.
de-radicalization of religious extremism,
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
then you are addressing all of the issues, and they all mattered,
And
and
you
they
will-
all led to the situation. And
Right.
And you won't
But
stop it. You won't
here's the
stop
thing.
it.
Here's the thing. Corey just exactly made my point. Everything he just said, we knew before this guy started shooting people. So everything he went through doesn't matter because we already know that, and we're still haven't done anything.
well,
That's
but
what I'm saying.
that's
Because
the difference.
no action is being taken.
That's the difference.
But you
Ever
just,
since-
you just seem stuck on saying that it doesn't matter.
No, the
because it
individual
does.
things don't matter because we already know all these things. Right? The individual doesn't matter.
I think we're getting hung up on the idea of things that matter.
Right. Okay. So the individual,
Good
this guy that shot all these people, right?
Right.
All of the problems that we've listed,
Uh-huh.
we already knew.
Right. That
Regardless
didn't make
of him.
them that doesn't make them matter less.
No, they already matter. So the fact that he had them doesn't matter because they already mattered. That's
That-
what I'm trying to get
no,
across.
that- what you just said is that
No, you
they
get-
matter, so they don't matter.
They already mattered, so
They
that's why they
already
don't matter.
They already matter. We're not doing anything
Therefore,
about it.
they
So
still matter.
So the fact that
So-
he had those things doesn't matter because we already weren't doing fuck all about it.
But
That's
don't
what
you
I'm saying.
think-
Still matter.
But don't you think
The fact that he had those things doesn't matter.
But some people. But
Systemically, sorry, Angela, go ahead.
no, that's okay. I'm sorry. I'm trying. I guess I'm just trying to think out loud here.
Let's give Angela
And
the floor.
I'm interrupting and bleh. But the thing that I was trying to say was it doesn't. I think I sort of understand what you're trying to say, but it all of a sudden it matters now. Like why? It didn't matter before.
The day before,
and-
nobody
and-
was talking about it.
But it still did.
Well-
but so many people think
It
that
mattered.
as soon as 50 people died, okay, now we have to pay
Yes.
attention to this.
But
Like,
we're only going to pay
but-
attention until some kid falls in a pond in Disneyland, and that's going to get more
Well,
publicity.
the only thing I was going to
That's
say
the problem.
That's the
is
problem.
we do have a very short attention span because
Yes.
2 days before this happened, that Christina Grimmie was shot in the face while
That's
signing
right.
She
autographs.
There were like 3 shootings in that same
Yeah.
weekend, wasn't there?
See, and that's
It
maybe
consistently
because I've been
happens.
thinking about that too much. Because I've been once that shooting happened, I started thinking back about all the other shootings,
Well,
and all these things have surfaced about these individuals after the shooting.
and
It's
in a-
after the shooting.
in a
we're not
sense-
doing anything to stop them.
But in a sense, you're right.
all
that
we're doing
not
is talking about it
anything.
afterwards.
That's
it
right.
doesn't matter
I
because if
see
we're
what
not
you're
acting,
saying.
nothing's happening.
But isn't that the case in all crime though? It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's like it's easy to roll it back afterwards.
Back into the left.
But
you know.
Hindsight
it-
is always 20/20.
But in action
And then we
doesn't
start
mean
making
that it
excuses
doesn't
for
matter.
ourselves.
Inaction doesn't mean that it doesn't matter. Like the thing is, yes,
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
We forget.
No.
We forget things that we are not thinking about right now. They still matter, even though we're not thinking about
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And
I think that's
And
true.
so it says something about humanity that we have, like Renee said, we have a very short attention span. Something gruesome happens, and then we mourn for a week, and then we go back and eat ice cream.
Yeah.
Like that's and they still matter, but we just forget about them because
see that
Because they don't
I take
matter.
issue with the language that it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
it always mattered, and it always will matter until we fix the fucking solution.
Yeah.
And
Like, we have to
And
actually
even-
fix things.
even
for
after
it.
it's fixed,
and then
it's
it's
still-
not
right.
Yeah,
but,
then it still
matters.
matters.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
why are we
yeah.
talking about the shooter when we already know what the problems are? Why aren't we talking? We're thinking about the problem and we're not talking about the solution. That's maybe an easier way to break it down.
But the problem still matters. In order to we have to talk about all of it, and it all matters.
Yes.
The problem and the solution, they all matter, and we have to talk about them and not brush them off by saying, "Oh, that the shooter doesn't matter." Like, we already know that mental illness is bad. It still matters.
All of the reasons that we've given for why he committed the shootings, we knew. Not for him specifically. We knew they
Mental
were problems. Mental health, socioeconomic things.
LGBT.
Right.
And the fact
issues.
that media is only focusing on him and they're not focusing on the actual
Right.
big picture means that they're not focused on the big picture. They're focused on the sensationalization of the shooter.
Well, and that's the nature of
But-
media.
Ever since
That's
20
the
kids
other thing I wanted to bring up,
and
too.
5 adults got killed in a school, like a bunch of kindergarten kids and whatever, and nothing happened, nothing changed.
Yeah, somebody posted
Yes.
a tweet about that. Like,
Yeah.
as soon
It's
as
over.
Sandy Hook
It's done.
happened, like, then it doesn't matter
I mean, and
if people die.
I think the thing.
Everything becomes a circle jerk after that.
Well, there's the other side, the darker, weirder, more fucked up side of it, and I think you brought it up, was about stuff like the crisis actors.
Oh, yeah.
Which is bullshit.
Oh, well, yeah,
I couldn't believe that there was actually a person that I knew that was talking about this.
total bullshit. And the thing is it gets. I went down that dark rabbit hole on YouTube. There's a lot of people that are saying that it's faked so they can steal our guns.
False flag.
False flag.
Yeah.
you
It's
know.
fake,
It's not, and
so-
it's not just Alex Jones. That was the scary thing.
That's so fucking convoluted. The thinking is so backwards. They faked it so they can steal our guns, and then they don't steal your guns.
Yeah, you can still keep them.
And then a filibuster that was essentially meaningless got agreed to and then ignored after that. Like,
Oh, and another important vote happened during that those guys weren't involved in.
well, of course.
And then there was the sit-in. Did that
Yeah,
do
that's what I
anything?
meant.
which hasn't done anything. But
It's over.
yeah, they after 25 hours they gave in. But I mean, I think this is kind of a microcosm of all the stuff. Like, okay, he was Islamic, red flags everywhere, not to use whatever.
Well, yeah.
He shot up a place. Oh, gun control. And
Whatever catchphrases you want to use.
whatever catchphrase you want to go. Like, this was a microcosm of what's wrong. Like I don't know what the solution is. I mean, first off, I maybe it's because I'm Canadian. I just I don't think taking all the guns away is going to I'm not a hunter myself, but I know people that like hunting. Okay, what you're going to have your rifle that can have maybe 5 rounds in a clip if you actually have a clip for a rifle.
Yeah.
Whatever. You don't need an AR-15 with a 30-round clip.
Yeah.
And like this mentality of, I have to have this gun to protect myself, even with David Smalley, which, I'm not, faulting the guy. This is a common idea down there.
Yeah.
But
so
it's-
common that it actually perpetuates itself.
Yes. I mean, and I've seen this example many times, in recent days because of this. And I mean, Claire on the chat room will know this. They had mass shootings in Australia till 1996, I believe. Then they said, enough of this shit, and they just, boom, got rid of all assault rifles. Boom.
Australia.
Australia.
Yeah.
Australia. They haven't had a mass shooting since.
Guns.
They got rid of all guns?
Guns.
All guns are gone?
They
Yeah.
did a
Hunting
buyback
rifles.
program.
Yeah, they did a buyback program. And I believe that in certain areas you're allowed to have like long rifle.
Yeah. Well, I've seen shows where they show them out
Like
in the
Wiggly
outback.
Down Under.
Yeah, like,
Claire said yes.
yeah. Okay, there we go. And that's just it. Like up here in Canada, we
And
still
they're a country full of criminals. Sorry, Claire. Had
I'm
you.
reasonably sure that's a stereotype.
Well, that's historically accurate, but 150 years removed.
Yeah, and that's there are little and big things that we can do to minimize the damage, and there is not necessarily one thing that'll get rid of all crime. Because once you start saying that, oh, well, there were still some shootings in Australia, so therefore it was useless.
Well, I've seen, like, I was watching.
Well, yeah,
Bill,
you got to look at the number
Yeah,
of shootings.
like, I
it
was
does
watching-
matter when less people die.
I was watching Bill Maher, and they were talking about this, and there was some Republican woman on there. I can't remember her name, and she wrote some book about her buying a gun, and she was really pro-gun, and she was trying to say that in Australia, yeah, but the violent crimes went up. Okay.
So?
Okay,
The
so there's
violent
more. So there was more stabbings because they didn't have guns. Okay, stabbings suck, but
Well, the same day as Sandy Hook, that other guy walked into another school. I can't remember where that was, with a knife, and stabbed 25 people, and
yeah.
nobody died.
That's right, and nobody died.
Yeah,
because it's a fucking knife.
But taking the guns away doesn't solve anything.
Yeah.
Fuck
because
you.
a knife doesn't have the same effect as a gun. It's that simple.
Also,
if you know what you're doing, you can do damage. But chances, it takes a bit more work.
Yeah, you don't have to be quite the amateur.
you don't have
that
to
you
be
do with
as
a gun.
invested with the gun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can be very impartial and withdrawn. With a knife,
Yeah.
you cannot. Not speaking from experience, but
Right now, all I got is
says
Batman in my
implying
head.
experience.
All I got is Batman in my head. You know why I use a knife? But and this is where, like, it's, to me, this whole thing is just such a microcosm of why being removed from it, why the Americans seem so fucking crazy. Because here it is, guy walked into a nightclub, shot the place up. The cops finally took him out by ramming a tank through the front door of the nightclub to take him out. Like, what the fuck?
the fact that cops have tanks.
That's for
Well,
another
we'll
day.
set that aside. We'll set that one
That's
aside.
that's
So go one
another
step
debate
backwards.
for
The fact
another
that cops need tanks.
Yes, thank you.
Well, there's also the
That's-
argument that they don't
that is a
need
debatable
tanks.
point.
That's-
Well,
but-
in this case, it seemed like they kind of needed them. Yes.
Well, I guess.
I don't know if the ends
That's
justify the
what-
means, but
yeah, fair enough.
That was a
Fair-
joke.
So-
that was a joke.
So let me take
calm
it one-
down.
I gotta
one
put my
step
funny
down.
hat
Calm
back
down.
on. I'm all worked up here.
Every reason that's been given for this shooter has been given before.
yes,
Everyone.
Yes, that's right.
And there's still
And gun
the reason
control still
hasn't changed.
the thing
Yeah.
is,
And-
Nothing has changed.
And the
think
fact that people still die of heart attacks and cancer they've been dying of that for years now.
Sure, but there's
and
billions of dollars being spent on research.
And exactly, that's what we need to
That's
do. We
exactly
need, we
right,
need,
yeah.
we
The
need-
CDC is invested in
wait.
that.
We need to find find these things and actually treat them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
screaming about them is showing to not be helpful. Once
Yeah.
you politicize things and just make it
the
screaming match.
AMA recently announced
the
that
bullets
they-
are bad for you.
no, that they would be investigating. I think there was. Listen to the most recent episode of The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe. They talk about this in depth, and the CDC and the AMA are going to start investigating the statistics behind gun death as a health issue. And that's what needs to start happening. We need real numbers. We need to know exactly what's going on.
The thing is,
Yeah.
if they're going to go with guns, they can't just go gun deaths. They have to go gun violence.
Well, and they
Period.
can't just go
Yeah.
quote unquote assault rifles. They
Gun
have
violence.
to go all gun violence.
They need,
Handguns.
they need to throw out a wide net.
yeah, handguns account for a lot of deaths, and that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also a weird mentality that seems to be down in the States where you just stepped on my foot.
I did not.
Figuratively speaking, right? Like, I mean, what's the first thing they do? Where's my gun? Fuckers cut me off in traffic. I'm going to shoot him.
There is
and it would
seemingly a lot of
it
that.
might sometimes be nice to be able to shoot somebody who cuts you off, but that we should not recommend that.
Oh, it's so tempting driving around here. So
Sometimes
tempting.
Ugh.
Speaking of overreactions, there was a Canadian guy who was talking to his son's flat earther girlfriend not that long ago, and he threw a propane tank into the fire.
Yeah, I read about
because
that.
he was so frustrated dealing with this flat earther.
You know, I can relate
can see
to
that. I can see that.
Totally
Oh my
relate to that.
gosh.
I almost thought that you should just get away with it.
Well, I think the next step would have been to throw the flat earther into the fire.
Yes,
You know?
that's right. That's the only reasonable next step.
There's a question. How many propane tank fireplace deaths happen? Should we start worrying about that?
I think
Probably not
I think
that many.
number's relatively low.
Yeah. Oh, it's about the same amount as flat earthers. I've heard.
Except nobody died.
Well, this was
Exactly.
the exception.
Yeah, that's right.
But in most cases, it'll probably the propane tank and the flat earther went into the fire at the same time.
Yeah. One thing that should be mentioned too, like we were talking a little bit about the media, and I mean we talked about this, I think, the last podcast about how the BBC generally presents the facts, and they don't put a lot of spin on the stories, right?
For stuff
Is
that happens in North America.
Okay,
Stuff in Europe's totally different because it affects them directly.
but I mean, like, okay. I just wanted to clarify, but I was thinking
I
about
think
that.
the BBC still tries to be,
Yeah, they're fairly
neutral. They try to be, but
They're still fairly left, I think.
but it's
in
It's
comparison,
weird there, though.
In comparison to what, The Guardian, like
yes.
news of the world.
But so many people get their news from Fox. So many people they see those like Stacey Dashes of the world going on about this and that, and that's where they hear their news, and that's the opinions that they get. And
and now how many get their news from Alex Jones?
if there was a God, oh man,
Who's
There's
Alex
no
Jones?
accountability.
no, and that's the other thing too. And if
An
a
internet
mistake
troll.
is made, if somebody's dishonestly reporting a story, the apologies or the corrections that sometimes come on air aren't heeded. It's still out there. A lie will make far more ground than the actual truth.
Yeah.
A meme is more important in this society than anything else.
Oh,
Yeah, it's got to
Let's
be
be honest.
something pithy that you can just like latch
Yeah.
on to, right?
Yeah.
Something
You know,
quick.
I think we've made that joke before. If it hasn't been shared on Facebook, it ain't true.
You know what? I have to
that's
say
right.
this is a little bit off topic, but the science enthusiast's response to that dude's
Oh, that
video
was very
about
good.
depression, that was posted like on my newsfeed a lot yesterday.
Oh, okay.
But today, a Facebook friend of mine posted the original video, to which I went and found that science enthusiast video, and I was like, boop, on the comments, and because I thought, for fuck's sake, like, why are we spreading that bullshit if people are actually sick and they're
Positive
watching
thinking
this?
doesn't cure depression.
Well, that's the thing. I was so mad. I was so mad.
No, it just cures HIV according to
Oh yeah, that's right.
according to Deepak,
Deepak. According to
What?
Deepak.
That's right.
which just about brings us around to Tony Robbins, who
Oh, Tony.
had some
Tony.
issues recently.
Yes.
With his,
Firewalking.
yes,
1, 2,
the
3, fire.
the 30-some people who were
So
hospitalized.
many. Like, they're not going to be walking for a while. They're going to have to change those dressings.
Meanwhile, like the funny thing is, there is a science to firewalking.
Well, that's what you were saying earlier before we
there
were
is
on air.
I can't remember the exact science, but I've watched some stuff on it where they kind of debunked and proved firewalking works, but there's a trick to it. Like the coals have to be, they rake them over, and there's a certain point where you can still the heat is underneath the coals, and then that's
Even though they look all red and hot.
they look
they're-
all
you can
red and
walk right
hot.
over
Yeah,
them.
you can walk on. And the trick also is if you notice, they don't just slowly walk over them. It's boom.
Yeah, it's
know,
fast.
But I wonder how did this happen? Like, did person number 29 cross the fire, and being the 29th person to have like burned himself pretty severely, and then person 30 just said, "Oh, I should try that." Like, how did this happen?
person
So-
30 deserved it.
So like I said on Facebook earlier
They
today,
progressively deserve a worse burn.
like I said on Facebook earlier today, at what point does positive thinking outweigh critical thinking?
Yeah. But you watch those videos of people being slain in the spirit and speaking in tongues, and they start laughing and they start dancing, and it's catching, just like when you're at a concert and it's really good music and you want to dance and stuff
But
like that.
have you ever heard of holy vomiting?
No,
No, that's a thing.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
when you're slain in the spirit, there's like one of my religious studies professors said that he had actually seen it, like where people in the church service like start vomiting on the floor, like
Really?
Are they
that's like
expelling evil spirits, or was
yeah.
it?
Maybe that's what
I've
it
never
is.
Googled it or anything, but he said that he had been to like some Pentecostal like church, and
shit.
that was a thing there, and he had never seen it before. He's like, my jaw just dropped.
Group think is amazing. Have you ever watched the voodoo ritual?
No, I haven't. I should write
Yeah,
that
everybody
down.
goes into a trance.
Yeah, everyone goes into the trance and just
Yeah.
crazy
It's
shit
fucking
happens.
insane.
Crazy shit happens.
No-
Like,
nothing, supernatural happens because
No,
it doesn't.
Yeah,
But you could also
But-
take mushrooms and get a similar effect, I guess.
Yeah.
Or
well, I don't think you're going
What's
to
the
try
source
to
of
drive nails
Well,
through a
yeah,
wall
actually, Probably
with
not.
your bare hand, but
what's that stuff in Peru?
the few times I've
Source of
taken
an H?
mushrooms, it was actually just fun. I just didn't throw up.
that
and
the
Except
cactus?
except
Crazy.
fucking Steve's basement wall. The rocks around the fireplace.
I wasn't on mushrooms then.
Oh man, shit tries to kill you.
That was not. I wasn't on mushrooms with you guys that time.
I think
I
there was
should-
speed involved.
I should say groupthink is really compelling. Like it's amazing what you do. Like I've seen that in a number of different scenarios. Like I was a part of a stepmom group that it was pretty bad at times. Somebody would post about being, having a tough time or whatever, and people were like, I'll just kill your fucking husband for you. Yeah, I'll totally. But nobody was like, and the voices of reason, and this is why I ultimately left, was because nobody was being reasonable.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, why are we swearing at this person who's actually making a pretty decent point? And why are we doing this? Why aren't we letting her have her opinion be heard? So like it was ridiculous. So
Therefore, God. Ayahuasca. I think is what it's called.
Ayahuasca.
Like one of the most potent,
oh.
Wow.
mind-altering.
Well, I actually had gotten offered to try it, but from an actual shaman. But those are 3-day benders that you do.
Yeah,
and it
not
is-
everybody recovers.
Yeah,
That's
it is.
the kind of
it
thing
is, it
you
is
go
intense.
to- you go to Panama.
Was that in Peru?
No, that was in Bolivia.
Oh, Bolivia.
But yeah,
Well.
I was like, I'm not really up for that. Like, I might take a little sip, but I don't want a 3-day bender.
I don't know.
And they take you out in the
That's-
woods.
I did 3-day benders on like hallucinogens in North America, and they weren't very great. Like,
But
this shit is really potent.
yeah,
all I
organic.
ultimately got was
It's
sick.
organic,
Right?
yeah.
Like, I mean, I hallucinated and stuff, but I was sick.
It's not
the
GMO
worst.
and it's organic.
Oh, so that makes it
Naturally
I think
sourced.
Yeah.
naturally sourced.
yeah, so
That makes it-
therefore it's good for you, and it cures,
Yes,
and it
that's right.
cures a lot of ailments.
And
Cures cancer.
apparently
Oh, yeah.
it lines up with the sun, kind of like a
That's
cacao.
chocolate.
Cacao.
Like chocolate
I said kind of like cacao.
cacao.
The same kind of
like-
similar resonance.
Yeah, those-
Frequency.
I've never wanted to hit you quite so much.
I just can't believe there's people that are that fucking stupid. That's all. I just don't understand.
Well, believe it, buddy.
and again,
believe it,
I'm not
man.
being negative. I just can't believe that they're that fucking stupid.
No,
Intelligence
I
is a
think that's
constant,
fair.
and the population is growing.
I love that saying. We're
doomed.
All right. Think of somebody that you
David's all
think of.
full of wisdom over there. I see you trying to say stuff, and you're just not saying stuff.
I love the saying of try to think of somebody that you consider completely average in intelligence. Now realize that half of the world is more stupid than that person.
Okay, Dave.
I love that.
Okay,
I
so,
love that
so
saying.
Brad Wall.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
So imagine Brad Wall. Now,
average?
Now, most
he's
people
gotta
are
be
smarter than
average.
Brad Wall.
No, actually, he's not stupid. He's just nefarious. That's
It's a difference,
there's
eh?
a difference.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I also like it when Christians.
Robin wants me to hit you.
Oh, whatever. She can have me later. I really like it when super Christians, like people that are super churchy, start calling other groups terrorists. Isn't that kind of like pot in the kettle?
Well, yeah. That's,
Yes.
It's like the theocrat, the Christian theocrat,
Yeah.
who says, "Oh, if you don't like our Christian country, then go to Saudi Arabia."
Yeah.
What? How about you go to Saudi Arabia where you like things that way?
Yeah. Western Europeans
Yeah, it's probably
conquer half the
more in
world
line
and
with
then bitch
themselves.
about.
If they went to Saudi
immigrants.
Arabia, they'd be happier because all their like gender roles would be there. And,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Everything would be
Other
strictly
than
the way
the
they like
fact
it.
Wouldn't have
religion
to
would be in
drive
control.
or work. Yes.
Other than the fact them being Christian would be frowned upon.
yeah, but that's it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the only part.
But
Western
it'd be
European.
frowned upon. It's not like atheists where they're killing them or arresting
No.
them.
That's their favorite
Western
thing to do
Europeans
in Saudi
invade and
Arabia.
conquer half the world and then bitch about immigrants.
Yes.
Bitch about
yes.
immigrants. Yeah. Fuck you, Great Britain.
That was an excellent meme.
Yeah, I love that meme. And it's true because it was a meme. So it's
Therefore,
That's right.
therefore factual.
It was shared on Facebook.
yeah, and shared on, and it was on Reddit. It was also on Reddit. So.
All right, so we're already almost 15 minutes late, so let's cue the outro music.
Bye, everybody.
Yes, sir.
This was a fun episode.
This was fun.
Definitely.
Kind of chaotic.
All
but
right,
still fun.
thanks to our patrons, Rob and Nathan. Gumby, any new news for the shift of reason?
No, actually, I think we have the paperwork ready. We just got to get the executive together to sign off on it, and then we can get going.
Perfect.
Sweet.
Any word on the hotels that you talked to?
Not yet. I'm waiting on quotes.
Also, I'm going to put in a plug. I still need some signatures for the Pirate Party of Canada to keep the Pirate Party going. So I think it's 15,000 people altogether, and we're short now at about 75 people. So we need about 75 more people to sign up.
Perfect.
Okay.
So we'll record another half hour for the Patreon page, but you can join us for the next live broadcast. We will have, I think next time it's Dave Edwards, a.k.a. The Great White North,
Yeah.
from the Wayward Atheist podcast.
That's one I regularly listen to.
Good work.
A lot of work.
It is
Shouldn't be
work.
hard.
All right. So you can watch for our events on mixler.com/the-brainstorm-podcast, or you can go to our website, brainstormblog.net, and check out the live show page and the upcoming events page. There are upcoming events in Canada. There's the annual non-conference this year in Niagara Falls on August 13th, and there's the AB Secular Conference on September 15th and 16th in Edmonton. There will be links to those Facebook pages in the show notes. We appreciate you listening, and if you want the extra content from after the live show, then you can go become a patron at patreon.com/brainstormpodcast. Or you can check out the website, brainstormblog.net, and click on the bonus content or support pages. We've got lots of new goals. If we hit $25, I will separate all our interviews out, upload them, create videos just with the logo, aka the style of the Scathing Atheist, and I will upload them to YouTube, and I will create an entire separate page for those individually if we hit $25 an episode.
Man, I wish I had all the spare time you do.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah. So it's also great if you can write a review and rate us on iTunes and Stitcher. The more ratings make it so people can find us.
More
but
gooder ratings.
They don't, actually. What we need is people to go to iTunes in the app or in the iTunes store and hit subscribe. The more people who do that increases our listeners.
Get the Brainstorm Army on it. The legions.
Thanks, Dave, for intro music. Thanks, Alex Cameron Murdoch, for doing the voiceover and for the intro and some of our ads. And thanks, Jason Camo, for outro music. You can find his stuff at aloststateofmind.com. All music played is either with permission or under the SOCAN license to play. For more information on Soca and You Can Play, check out the music license on our website, brainstormblog.net. You can also get Brainstorm gear at cafepress.ca/brainstormpodcastgear, or go to the support page of our website. If you didn't get a chance to contact us through the live chat going on during the episode, but you think you need to tell us something, that you can email us at mail@brainstormblog.net, or go to brainstormblog.net, click the contact page, and fill out the form. If you have a podcast or a website and want a shout out or a promo, let us know.
You should give us a shout out.
We are also offering advertising to podcasts, bands, people, and organizations on the website. Contact us for rates and options. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in a couple weeks when we have, I already said this, Dave Edwards.
Dave Edwards.
Of the Wayward Atheists podcast on.
Well, I still think should be one of our speakers at our next conference, but
we'll see.
yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care, all.
Just wanted to say thanks to everyone who listens to us, shares the show, gives us a rating on iTunes or Stitcher, or supports us through Patreon and Gumroad. We don't have a lot of interaction sometimes with our listeners, but what we have had proves that we attract some of the best people around. Smart, kind, and cool. An audience truly worthy of the titles hardcore and woo-free. Thanks for helping us make the world a smarter place.
This is an opinion-based podcast. Each person on the podcast is responsible for their own opinions, and those opinions don't necessarily reflect the views of the rest of the panel. Any guests or anyone associated with the people on the podcast, such as spouses, partners, children, other family members, friends, or employers. No one person speaks for the podcast with the possible exception of Corey, and he doesn't speak for anyone else on the show. The Brainstorm podcast does not represent the views of our sponsors.